candid conversations, unfiltered opinions, and humor with Abeg Vex podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome again to a great episode. I have a young man here that I'm very impressed by. I'm very excited to have this conversation. So today we have Prerak Mehta. How are you?
I'm fine, Idongesit. Thank you so much for having me on your amazing show. It's been a big privilege for me to be here, and I'm really excited about the conversation that we are going to have.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. So tell the people why you're here or tell the people what you do. I think that is the most important, part of this conversation. So let us know who you are, what you do, and yes, we can begin talking.
So myself, Prerak Mehta, and I run Net Mafia, which is a web design and SEO marketing agency. I founded my company last November while I was still pursuing my engineering. Before that, I used to teach on platforms like Udemy and Skillshare, and I've published about 7 courses so far. And over 35,000 students have enrolled in my courses so far. Most of them have only positive things to say about it. And if you check out my profile, Udemy profile, you'll find few of the courses rated highest on the platform. And since the time that I started my journey as an entrepreneur, I've been documenting on YouTube as well. So it's kind of like a work vlog for me, and I'm completely enjoying my process. And the journey throughout has been amazing. There has been a lot that I've learned so far, and I just can't wait to learn more and more and just talk about it with people and just educate, because that's what I'm really passionate about.
Impressive. Prerak, can you tell everybody how old you are? So I want everybody to understand why I'm so impressed by you.
I'm 22 right now.
Congratulations. You are
Thank
impressive
you.
young man. So you talk about your courses on Udemy, you talked about different things that you have done. What ignited that fire in you to want to start your own company or to
Mhm.
want to educate people as opposed to just being a student, focusing on your studies, or just, going along with the path of corporate work, listening to society's norm of what this is what you must do, this is the clear path. What made you want to take the risk to start a business, not just one, but several, over the course of however many years?
So it all started back in 2020 when I was 18 years old. I'm 22 right now. So 4 years back, I was 18. And, back in 2020, the COVID pandemic had hit just worldwide. And India, where I live, there was a nationwide lockdown. So it was a challenging time for all of us, not just me. And most of my peers who were my age and who were my friends were pretty much utilizing their time playing video games and just chit chatting with people on Zoom. I immediately saw this entire lockdown and this pandemic as a blessing in disguise and a rare opportunity for myself to rise and shine. So while I was still pursuing my engineering, I knew I needed to develop new skills to secure a better future for myself. So I turned to online learning and enrolled in my very first Udemy course, which was Android Oreo Development by Rob Percival. Now, Rob is an amazing instructor, but I quickly realized that whatever was being taught in the course, it was beyond. I just couldn't get a hold of it. So I didn't have a strong foundation in Java, and I faced a really hard time learning all the things that was taught in the course. And I realized that it just isn't for me. Although I did take some time to complete the course, because I'm that kind of a person who just doesn't leave anything a quarter mile or just do it 1/10. If I'm onto something, I'll make sure that I'll complete it, and I'll try to have some key takeaways out of it. Even if I don't get everything from out of it, I'll try to complete it, and I don't like to leave it something halfway. So, and in the Udemy itself, the dashboard at the top navigation bar, even today, you'll find that just besides the My Learning tab, there's an instructor tab. And I noticed that this is something interesting. Like, why is it Udemy putting up a big option for anyone to access this particular tab of becoming an instructor? Because for me, I
Right.
was under that impression that, having come across other course platforms like Coursera, there were university professors who were teaching on these platforms, and not everyone had access to publish their courses. So I just started learning more about it, that what's the process, and is it something that requires a lot of credentials in order to get started. And while I was researching, I found out that there isn't any barriers as so to begin with. So I just asked myself that what skill do I currently possess? Because it wasn't just me who was trying to, build new skills and develop myself, but there were many other people as well, right? So I saw that it has a lot of demand, but the supply was very less because aren't many instructors out there on Udemy. So I asked myself that what skills do I currently have, because I was just 18. I had just started my engineering and I didn't currently have at that time that kind of skills that I currently now possess. So only one thing that came to my mind was C++ programming language, because that was one of the subject that was being taught in our engineering curriculum. And that's when I decided that I'm going to create a course on C++. And for the next 8 months, while balancing my online lectures, I started building my course while also learning how to edit these videos, how to screen record them, how to edit my audio, how to market my courses. Because once your digital product is out there and ready, you have to market it so that it generates revenue for you on an autopilot mode. So that's when I started learning more about the SEO, search engine optimization, the paid ads kind of stuff, general email marketing concepts, and a lot of other things. And soon after that, the first course that was published, things started to snowball pretty quickly. And I published courses on web development, Java, Figma, WordPress, Elementor. And most recently, I published a course on using AI and using it in local SEO. So my journey as an instructor has been pretty fantastic. I've heard a lot of positive reviews, people mentioning me on LinkedIn and just thanking me has been pretty, it's very overwhelming to see that your skills and your knowledge is being shared by so many people and they are finding so much value out of it. So it's, you can't express that kind of a feeling. And during my final year in college, I decided to take a big leap into entrepreneurship and founded my company, digital marketing agency Net Mafia, where we help businesses generate a consistent flow of high quality leads on an autopilot mode. Now, my decision, as you asked me, that most of the students are a bit confused whether to pursue their masters or to get a job. And my decision wasn't something that I did on a whim, or it wasn't just any overnight decision. It took me some time, and there was a lot of reconsiderations going around. And I talked it throughout with my family, my mom, my dad, and they all helped me to make a very firm decision. So I had two corporate internships that I did throughout my engineering phase, 6 months both. So I had about 1 year of corporate experience. And while I was working, I realized that yes, I am good at programming and I am good at building apps. Yes, there is demand in that field as well, but I didn't quite enjoy working in that field. So while I was, as an intern working in a company, in a software company actually, I was thrown into different fields like marketing, project management, software testing, software development. And that's when I realized that okay, entrepreneurship can be a good fit for me, and I should start a digital marketing agency because I really enjoy the SEO work and web design part. So in my last semester, while juggling my final year projects, the tests, vivas, examinations, and all those kinds of stuff, I started building my company systems, processes, everything required for your company to get started with. I started doing that, and I also simultaneously documented my entire journey on YouTube as well. So it's been about 7-8 months since I originally registered my company, and just 15 in the last 15 days, I locked 2 clients for my company. So it's been going pretty good, I would say.
Impressive, impressive. So you said answered a lot of the questions that I may have had for you because
I'm so sorry.
entrepreneurship is something that, it takes a lot of consideration and a lot of thought, right? It's not as
Yeah.
fancy as it's not as fancy in the beginning. Let me just say that. There's a lot of work
Yes,
that goes
you're
into
you're
it.
so you're so right about it, because when you're starting it all by yourself, sometimes it becomes really exhausting. Sometimes it becomes very lonely because you're the only one who is working as a solopreneur. You're not an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur when a team is there working with you, but you're a
Absolutely.
solopreneur when you are alone and working all by yourself. So, so yeah,
Even
you're pretty
even
right
even
about it.
when you have a team, sometimes there's certain things that your team cannot do, and it still
Yes,
falls on your
yes,
shoulder. So even when you
correct.
have a team as an entrepreneur, you still have those segments within your journey
Hmm.
where you're still a solopreneur,
Yeah.
right? And it takes a lot of grit and willpower to not say, you know what, forget this when things get
Hmm.
difficult, because things do get difficult. Things do not always work out how you planned it. Do you agree with that?
Exactly. Exactly. So I'd say that being an entrepreneur is someone that you're going to be responsible for not just your actions, but even your team's
Mm,
actions. So at the end of
absolutely.
the day, you'll have to be really responsible. You have to be accountable for your actions and for your team members, and just to be able to lead your team. It's going to be a big risk, I would say. But at the end of the day, the fruits that you're going to reap out of it is going to be amazing. So while yes, working as an employee, working in a team, working for a company could be really safe option, but who wants to play safe? Because if you want to enjoy and
Yeah.
if you want to explore, when you talk about not just focusing on the monetary side of it, but just focusing more on the learning curve kind of a phase,
Mm,
I think the kind of things and the kind of skill set that you'll build as an entrepreneur is something that it will take you a lot of years working in a company and working your ass off for that particular position and just promoting a level 1 to level 2 and level 3 and then being CXO level. So I think the learning curve as an entrepreneur is an exponent curve, and that's what I'm actually rooting for. I'm just really passionate about learning and just having a strong foundation across all different skills. Yes, as an
yes.
entrepreneur, you don't necessarily have to be the master of all the trades, but
Mm,
you can just have a quick idea about few of the skills, so you can just manage if you were to just rely all by yourself and not, if your team members abandon you, you shouldn't be left wondering that how this task will get completed.
right.
So
Right.
that's the idea of being an entrepreneur.
Right. I like that learning curve that you talked about, because as somebody that my profession is in the sciences, right?
Okay.
We don't learn bookkeeping. We don't learn advertising. SEO is not part of, what you learn in the healthcare world. You don't learn
Exactly.
how social media works. But as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, you have to. We're not taught podcasting, right? In the field of nursing, we're not taught interviewing skills comes into play, but not everybody has that interpersonal skills, to be honest. You have to learn. And the one thing that I also see with being an entrepreneur, especially starting as a freelancer in a sense, is the humility. So you have to be humble enough to know that you don't know everything. You have to be humble enough to learn, right? Do you agree with that?
Exactly. And not just as a freelancer, I would say, if you want to move ahead in life and just achieve what you want to do in
Right.
life, I think you'll have to have a strong foundation, and just don't forget your roots, where you come from, and, be humble throughout your life and just appreciate each and everything that, in life. It's not just all about ourselves. You're from Africa, right? In
Yes,
South
I'm from
Africa, there is
Nigeria.
there is one there is one saying, Ubuntu. I think that word
Yes.
word is originated from there, which means that it's plural. We are not singular. Whatever I have achieved so far, it's not all by myself. I am there because you are, because all of us are. So I think it's not just about entrepreneurship or just being a freelancer and being humble about it, but even if you're starting and growing and just starting out in your career and you want to excel in your life, you have to be humble, and
Right.
you have to thank everyone in your journey and just thank them and just work with them with all humility.
The reason I brought up freelancers is that most entrepreneurs start out that way. They start out
Hmm.
by, selling their skills, the different skill sets to
Hmm.
people who are in need, right?
Yeah.
And most freelancers, not most freelancers, I have come across in building my business, freelancers that felt like, well, I'm not your employee. I'll get to it when I get to it,
Mm.
right? And they wonder why, that professional connection doesn't continue, right? So you have
Right.
to be aware that, yes, you may not be an employee, but you're still working on something that is sensitive for this person, right? You have to be humble enough to take feedback. You have to be humble enough to be present. You have to be like, if you had a corporate job, you know,
Hmm.
granted is not. Granted, it
Yeah.
is not. There's a certain level of decorum that you have to carry yourself and present yourself, right?
Exactly.
So,
There is always going to be some room for improvement, and you always
absolutely,
ask for feedback for yourself to grow and become the best possible version of yourself. So
absolutely.
asking for feedback and just improving on yourself is the go-to thing that I always say.
All right. So, young people, you can hear he's 22. Okay. He's built himself to this point. Humility doesn't mean be a rug for somebody. Humility doesn't mean sell yourself short. Humility means be open to learn, be teachable, be coachable, right? Just because you
Exactly.
have the skill set, just because you've worked with somebody who asked
Hmm.
you to do A, B, C in the past on a project that is similar, doesn't mean that this person or this new client is going to ask you to do A, B, C, and D. Maybe this new client wants you to do B, C, G, and K, right? But it's still under
Yeah.
the same scope. So you never know what you can learn from somebody. So humble yourself enough to be teachable, to learn, and everly evolve. I'm just going to speak on something you talked about, Prick, as the saying that jack of all trades, master of none. Right? That is the one thing that we all hear, but that's not the complete statement. The complete statement is jack of all trade, master of none, still better than master of
Yeah.
one,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So
You're so true about
I
it.
can have an idea of 20 things, 20 different
Yes.
things. I may not be an expert in all 20,
Hmm.
but if you stick me in a room where there's a conversation about this item, right? I can at least go 50% of that conversation, right? As
Yes,
opposed to
yes.
somebody who has mastered one skill completely, right? And they go into different rooms. They wouldn't even know where to start 5% of that conversation. So don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to apply yourself. Don't be afraid to seek out that skill that you feel like, okay, you're not completely well versed in, because you might just surprise yourself. So as the world stands today, there's more that connects us than divides us. We are reaching across oceans to work with each other. Prerak is in India right now. I'm in the US, but we're talking, right? So seek out meaningful connections. So in talking about connections, in your experience, do you see that the connections that you have made positively, whether it be review from your courses, whether it be from mentors in a corporate space, or just your friends and people around you, do you see that connection has proven to be like a solid foundation, or has helped you like progress and grow in your journey as an entrepreneur?
In terms of connections, I would say I'm not really that kind of very extrovert. I have a big set of friends or social connection. Definitely all the people around me, I'm very fortunate, and I touch wood, I'm very lucky to have all the people around me who never talk bad about me behind my back. They always encourage me whatever decisions I've taken so far, and they always appreciate my achievements, and they just they place me as someone that they look up to, and they take me as a form of inspiration, and they seek guidance from me. So I'm really
Yeah,
thankful to all of them, and I'm really happy about it. But
right.
the most, I would say, in terms of inspiration, getting inspiration from someone and getting guidance from someone would be my mom. I wouldn't be here where I am today without my mom. She's such a beautiful soul.
Mhm.
She's my idol, my mentor, and essentially the backbone of my life. I mean,
Wow.
I wouldn't have progressed so fast even without my brother, I would say. I mean, I gotta say, he's extremely mature, very helpful. And despite being 6 years younger to me, he extended his hand to help me out while I was building my courses, while managing my lectures. As I said, back when I was 19,
Right.
he was 12, 13 around at that time. And he offered to help me out by editing all my courses and just, helping me being more productive. And who else, which 13-year-old kid would do that kind of a thing? So for me, I'm just beyond my words. I mean, no matter how much I talk about it, no matter how much thankful I am, I'll always be short compared to what they have done for me. So they are my inspiration, and these kind of connections that you would essentially want to look out for. And even in terms of looking for the students who have enrolled in my courses so far, seeing that kind of a strong community, that whenever you
Mhm.
send out any kind of announcements, we in the Udemy, we have an instructor dashboard through which we can send out educational announcement, promotional announcements.
Right.
The community is engaging. you know Students answer each other's questions. They watch my YouTube videos, they comment on my videos, they are really appreciative about it, and they tell me that please keep on making these kind of videos, we are finding it very valuable. So If you're
Right.
working, you would want some kind of appreciation, and just find that whatever actions that you're taking, there is some positive impact to it on other people's life, not just on yours.
Right. I love that. I love that. It's kind of is a give and take, right? We undermine how much the good we do for people feels our souls, right? It doesn't matter if it's, something you do out of kindness or if it's your business making an impact on somebody. There's just a certain level of satisfaction and, purpose that is behind that. So I want to talk about the pivot in your career. It's
Mhm.
something that I actually enjoy talking to people about because the Indian culture and the African culture, especially the Nigerian culture, is very similar, right? Where we have the same career choices that your parents are looking for you to have or hoping that you have, right? So we have the engineers, the doctors, the lawyers, attorneys, now recently, nursing, right?
Yeah.
So you went to school for engineering. That's where you
Yeah.
started. And then you made this pivot into marketing, right?
Mhm.
So I want to understand your journey through that. You did talk about, with your Udemy courses, having to learn different things and then enjoying the SEO aspect of it. So just take us through that journey. And I also want to know if you felt any apprehension and how you pushed past that, in doing this pivot.
That's a really good question that you asked. Definitely the kind of pivot that I've had. As I said before, that it wasn't just an overnight decision. It took me some time, and I spent a lot of time learning about a bunch of different things. Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to become financially independent all by myself and just be able to get what I want and manage my own money, and never to ask my parents about this is what I want. Can you get me something, and can you get me this? I never wanted to be a burden on my family, on my parents. Not that I'm trying to make my parents look that they didn't give me a good upbringing. Definitely, I don't come from a very strong and very great financial background. I come from a very middle class family in India. So I always had, as a middle class kind of a guy, you have some sort of aspirations in life that normally other people wouldn't have. And to achieve all those kinds of things, you have to take some kind of decisions to be able to stand on your own and just dictate your life on your own terms and just move ahead without ever thinking that my decision could affect my family. And what I'm trying to say that even though I don't come from a very strong financial background, my decision to pivot from engineering to marketing was something that took a lot of time to think about it, because it's a very big risk. Even if
Right.
it doesn't work out, I mean, I don't live in that kind of a family that my parents, my mom and dad would tell me that, okay, no problem, son, we'll take care of you and we'll manage your expenses for about a year or two. I still today, even in today's day, as we are speaking, I still contribute in my home with the expenses. So that's what I always wanted to be able to support my family. And I'm not saying this just to boast myself and make myself look cool on this podcast, but just it was always my dream to help my family, to move all four of us ahead in life and just explore all the things that we never did in the past. So
Right.
again, this the kind of engineering thing, it's kind of a very conventional thought process that when you take up sort of fields like science, you are left with very few limited options, because that's what a general Indian upbringing is, that you're either going to pursue medical science, or you're going to pursue engineering, or
Right.
if you have a family of business, you choose commerce and you take up accounting work, you take up lawyer. If you're going in the arts, definitely you have a very strong foundational financial background, and that's the reason why you're going ahead with the arts kind of stuff, the entertainment side. So while I was working, and my aspirations initially weren't to be an entrepreneur and start my own company. I was always passionate about technology and to build applications which were going to be very helpful for people in their day-to-day life. But as I was working, building my own projects, teaching
Right.
through these courses, working in internships, I didn't quite enjoy as much as I did while I was working in the marketing side. I felt that you could build a really great product, but that product itself doesn't have the ability to grab customers or clients by its own. You have to
Right.
put in some kind of a marketing effort. So with the help of marketing, you can take up an average product or an average service, and you can scale it to a level that it can generate thousands and millions of dollars in revenue,
Right.
whereas a best of the best product might not be able to generate that kind of a revenue. So in terms of looking at the business side of it, I realized that essentially marketing is something that AI wouldn't replace. Yes, AI has evolved so fast in the past 8 to
Yeah.
12 months that I think in the next 3 to 4 years, or even just 5 years, I would say, conventional jobs of all the software engineers might not get completely obsolete. But if we talk about engineers, if we talk about 10 engineers working in a company, maybe 5 years down the line there will be only 2 needed, because
Mhm.
AI will be able to do all of that sort of tasks. With marketing, I think there is more human element involved, which cannot be replaced by AI. There is creativity stuff, there is authority, there is experience, there is, I would say, authenticity, there is trust factor involved. With the product, you cannot convey all those things, but with marketing and sales, you can. There is human element involved. There is the connection that we talked about, just few minutes back. The human elements that we talk about, it's not going to be replaced by AI. So that's the reason why I pivoted from the conventional engineering to marketing.
Right. I like that this conversation segued into AI just a little bit. I'm very passionate about, the artificial intelligence aspect of things in the world today, but I'm also very cautious with it as well. I'm impressed with it because it's cutting edge. It automates things, right? But
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that I am a strong, firm believer that the fear that is going to take over everything is going to take over a lot. Okay, there's no arguments there.
Yes.
It's going
Yes.
to take over a whole lot, but at the same time, there's also going to be a need for that human element. Okay, the AI can move fast, can produce, everything is timely, everything is automated, but it's not all always accurate, right? You
Exactly.
still need human oversight. So, granted, yes, the engineering, aspect of the world when we're talking about software and things of that nature, yes, there may not be as a greater demand, but there's still going to be a demand. So I love that, you talked about your journey, your family, and, it's great that you have a strong background of support. God bless your family, and, kudos to your mom for being your background, or your backbone, I
Thank
should
you.
say. That's beautiful to hear. Not everybody has a strong supportive background, and to those people, I would say, you know what, just keep persevering at it. I do know a lot of people who went to school for whatever career field just because their parents wanted them to, right? And, either they're very miserable in pursuing that career, or they get the degree and then they go off to do whatever they wanted to do. I have a student right now who, again, did the same thing, Nigerian. His dad wanted him to be a petroleum engineer, and he went ahead, read petroleum engineering, worked around the globe, but he hated it.
Mm.
He hated it. He absolutely was miserable. This is his story. And now, at about 40, after his dad passed away, he's now pursuing an education in nursing, right?
Mm.
And I respect people like that a lot.
Mm.
Yes, he waited until his dad is now late for him to pursue that, but he didn't count himself out. He still pursued something that he wanted to pursue. So at a young age of 22, or even before you turn 22, you already set yourself up to pursue your dream, to pursue your passion, and that is very commendable. So I want to
Thank
tell
you.
you, young man, I'm very impressed by you,
Thank you.
and kudos to your parents. They
Thank you.
raised a smart, intelligent young man, and kudos to them for supporting you. So,
Thank you.
for a little bit of, I would say, a little bit of insight, because I don't like to call it advice. So, a
Mhm.
little bit of insight to, say, a young person who could be listening to you and I talk, right?
Mhm.
And they have this concern about disappointing their parents because of, the career field that they're being told to pursue. What would you offer a person like that who may be listening, whether it's a young man or a young woman?
First of all, the kind of thing that you talked about, that the parents want their kids to do something, and the kids they themselves want to pursue something completely different. I think we can bridge this gap by just having a strong communication with the parents. Just talk your heart out. They are your parents, so definitely they will listen to you. Form that bond and just talk your heart out, and give them a roadmap. Tell them that they should believe in you. Just do your research, present them in a way that they know, they trust you, that okay, the kind of decision that you want to take in your life, even if you fail, you will be ready with some other thing. So don't go blank minded. If I were to go right now, if I were to quit this podcast session, and I'll just move to another room and I'll ask my parents that I want to be an actor, they'll be amazed to hear that thing. But you have to talk about it. You have to say what kind of skills do you have, what kind of research do you have done so far, why are you taking this kind of a leap, what are you seeking from your life, and what kind of roadmap you have made for yourself for the next 6 months, next 12 months. Don't make a very big roadmap about 5-10 years. Just make very small, 6 to 12 months. Just give your deadline, just give yourself that kind of a short deadline, because the shorter the deadline that you give yourself, the faster and the more productive that you will be. Because that's what Elon Musk says, that give a guy 3 days to complete a task, he'll take 3 days. If you give the same guy 3 hours to work, he'll complete that in 3 hours. So give yourself a deadline, work on it. And there are so many different tools out there on the internet. I'll say that don't seek for advice from your friends, from your peers, because most of the time you are the average of the 5 people that you are around with. So the chances are that if you're going to seek some advice from your friends, the best of the best friends that you have, they won't be expert in that kind of a thing, regarding your question and the kind of things that you want to do in life. So the best thing is to just research on internet, make YouTube, make Google, make these podcasts as your best friends. Spend most of your time on these kind of stuff by just upskilling yourself. If possible, spend some money on some courses which will have structured format of video content, or some text based content that will actually help you transform your life from point A to point B. And just that, there are so many distractions out there. I'll say that YouTube is a great platform, but if you're gonna spend your time watching vlogs and entertainment videos, it's not going to be productive for you. Same with Instagram. There'll be so many short 30 to 60 seconds clips that you'll find value packed information that you wouldn't find on internet, on YouTube or somewhere else. But again, it's the kind of choices that you make. There are so many adult content also out there on the internet, and so many teenage kids are addicted to all these kind of things, different vices that they have. Just stay away from substances, have a proper sleep schedule, work on your physical well-being, work on your mental health being, be emotionally strong, have strong connection with your parents, because your parents, your siblings are the only people in this entire world who will never ever wish something bad about you. So I think it's pretty basic. Isn't something that anyone has to go beyond something to be a completely best version of themselves. They have to make the right decisions, because ultimately there's one really cool dialogue in the recent Mission Impossible film, which is our lives are the sum of our choices. So you have to make certain choices in your life that will eventually take you where you want to be. So if you take wrong decisions in your life, if you make wrong choices in your life, don't expect anything great from your life. You'll have to then face the circumstances and all the whatever challenges that will be thrown on you. You'll have to accept it whatever way it will come.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. That dialogue, "A life is a sum of our choices." I could not agree more, because
Exactly.
it's sometimes difficult for us to see the final picture when we are in the thick
Mhm.
of things, right? So when you're building, sometimes it can be difficult to see, that end result. But if you have that end result in mind and you keep making those small changes, those micro changes every day, you're going to see the difference, right?
Exactly.
People
And I see
scroll.
most of the people not making those changes, not making those correct choices, maybe
Mhm.
because they themselves don't have that kind of fire. And you know why they don't have that kind of a fire? Because they pretty much have adjusted with the current situation that they are in. Like if they are not happy with the way that they're living their life, and if they are looking to live a life where they have their own car, their own motorcycle, going on vacations every now and then, but they are still living in their mom's basement, Maybe because they are happy about it, not just happy, but they're comfortable in that situation. Don't
Yes.
be in that comfort zone. You
Mm-hmm.
have to work yourself out and not be happy about it and not be comfortable about it, and don't adjust yourself. Try working hard on yourself and try to come out of that situation. Work on yourself so that you don't stay with this kind of thing for the rest of your life. You need to have that kind of fire that nobody else can put that kind of fire in you. You have to have that kind of, for the rocket to launch, it's going to it's going to leave so many gases and fumes out of its exhaust, and it happens because it generates a lot of fire, it generates a lot of power to move up. So
Yes.
that's the same concept that applies in our lives.
Yeah, I like that rocket launch analogy
Yeah.
because you have to, not everybody has that intrinsic factor within them to
Yeah,
launch themselves. However, the people that, may have that need, but they don't know how to go about them. And it takes one person who believes in them for them to launch themselves, right? So for the rocket analogy, it takes all the engineers and everything to put everything together and turn the right key for that fire to go, and boof, the rocket goes off. The rocket cannot stand on itself to launch, right? You need a lot
you're
of
right.
factors, right? So like having a good support system for some people is absolutely a must. For others, just the need to grow outside of what they know, getting out of that environment. Okay. Sometimes your environment is the reason why you're staying there, right? Because if nobody around you has ever done anything incredible,
Yeah,
so it's like, this is my life, this is my lot, that is it.
exactly.
That it doesn't have to be. Okay. Look
And
around
one
you.
thing that I'm sorry, I'm
Go
just
ahead,
cutting in
Fred.
between,
Yeah.
but the thing that you talked about, for a rocket to launch, there is a need for a lot of engineers to work on it.
Right.
What most people go wrong with that is that they wait for those people to join with them, and but you don't have to. You have to make that decision for yourself. You just start working, and you'll see people joining you. Whether it's your parents, whether it's your friends, whether it's your colleagues, anyone that you're trying to, if you're trying to sell your product, you'll find customers. Just start building your skill set. Just try building the kind of thing that people would throw money for that service, for that product. So try to
Absolutely.
add value in others life, and you will be able to do so
Right.
when you start working. Don't wait for the correct time. It is now. And every passing minute is just another chance to just turn it all around. So don't wait, just go right ahead, and there will be never better time than now.
No,
So just
no,
start,
do it
just
now.
start.
Get off. Do it now. Because
Yes,
this is
do
the
it
thing.
now.
Prerak said something very important, okay? Nobody's going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. Nobody's
Yes,
going to
exactly.
buy a product if they don't see it, right?
Exactly.
If you cannot
Exactly.
sell me air, I will not buy air. But air is free, but you can sell me air,
Exactly.
okay?
Yes.
So, like, he talked about YouTube. There was a friend I had that we used to call it YouTube University because everybody calls it YouTube University. There's so much you can learn on YouTube. There's so much you can learn
Exactly.
on social media.
Yeah.
So, thumbing through social media to watch all the drama, maybe pivot from that, start watching a lot of investment opportunities, start watching a lot of investment videos. How about marketing videos? How about, all these different things? And then you know what the algorithm does? It feeds you more things.
Yes,
Even the
exactly.
algorithm is
Exactly.
waiting to reward you. So get off your
Yes.
butt, try and do it. You never know who's watching you. You never know who's going to believe in you. If you're in school right now, this is what we're going to round off with. If you're in school, if anybody's in school right now and there's like, oh, you know what? I'm still a student. I'm still in school. I don't have time. I have all these assignments. You started this while you were in school. Can you speak a little bit on that so people understand that it can be doable if you want it badly?
Yeah, those are just excuses. Stop giving yourself excuses and just start working on yourself.
I love it. He kept it short. You say he said a lot of things. When it came to that, he kept it very short. It's all excuses. We as human beings will never lack excuses to stop us from doing things. Okay, so if somebody is sabotaging you, somebody else is sabotaging you, a relative that doesn't like you sabotaging you, somebody at your workplace is sabotaging you. The worst kind of sabotage you can do for yourself is to sabotage your own self. All right. You may
Exactly.
not be your greatest at anything starting. None of us were. None of us are. Okay, when we start something, but you know what happened over the years and over time? We learn, we become better, and little by little by little, we became expert at what we did. Okay, this is something that I tell my students when we come up with a new concept in class, whether it's medication calculation or we're studying a new chapter that has this whole brand new concept, immunology, whatever it is. Oh my goodness, professor, this is too much. I'm like, okay, guess what? We're in school. That's what we're here to do, learn, right?
Yes.
Okay, I did not know this when I was in school like you, but you know what happened? I studied it, and now I can
Yes.
teach you and I can help you learn. You never know who's ready and willing to stretch out their hand to hold you over on the other side. Start something, learn a skill. I've
Stop giving
always been,
excuses. Stop blaming for your problems. Stop blaming others for your problems, and be accountable for your actions. Those are the three key things that anyone has to keep that in mind, and that is the most difficult thing that anyone can do, because being responsible, stop blaming others for your problems and giving excuses is so difficult, because it actually forces you to step out of your comfort zone. And that's what most people don't like. They like where they are right now. They like playing in video games all day in their den. They like scrolling on social media. They like chasing girls and leaning towards substances and getting addicted about it. So that's not kind of a life that a high value person would wish for. So those are just an average. If you want an average life, congratulations, you're already doing that. But
oh
if you are
wow,
looking for something great, you have to step out of your comfort zone and start doing something, at least not everything, but something at least.
right. Learn something, learn a new skill. If
Not
you
just learn, I would say just apply whatever you're learning, apply and learn, apply and learn. Because what might happen in that case, because I've seen people around me, they get stuck in this learning loop. They just then lean towards perfectionism, which I sometimes say that perfectionism is the enemy of progression. Because when you aim for perfection, you're not even progressing, because you haven't taken that first step itself. You're still thinking that whether I should move my right leg or whether I should move my left leg.
you're
What happens if I
frozen.
move
You're
my right
frozen in
leg?
place. You're like, will the right leg be the right one? How about that? Will the
Yes.
left be the right one?
Yes.
Wait. Should I
Exactly.
move both of them at the same time or
Yes.
should I just stay?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's true. It's true.
So
So
these are just very small things that I'm pretty sure that it isn't something that I'm talking is completely new. I'm pretty sure at some point in life everyone must have heard of all these things. But the fact is that these are the things that are actually working, and that's the reason why people are talking about it. Unless you don't take actions, you won't see the results.
I think it hits different when it comes to somebody that is like in the same age bracket, you know,
Yeah.
because you think about what people do when their elders say things to them, right? You know, when your parents are saying something or your uncles or aunties are saying something, someone's like, oh, you don't understand. It's a different generation. But when somebody in this generation, your generation, you're speaking, that is why I'm so impressed by you. That is why you're an example. Okay, there's so many of you out in the world, but having the opportunity to have a sit down with you to experience your journey, experience your story, experience your determination and your grit to power through whatever it is that you power through to be here, being very determined on where you wanted your life to go, not making excuses, not using school as an excuse, not using, oh, my family is not super wealthy, so, this is what I have to do, not using, oh, my parents want me to read engineering, so that's what I'm going to read in school. Not using any of those things to cripple yourself. That is very commendable and that is very much, applaudable. So it's not like
Thank
we
you.
haven't heard this, but I feel like coming from you, somebody who's walking and talking, you're walking the talk. You're not just talking the talk or walking the walk, you're walking the talk. So I think that you might just learn some more. There could be a parent, uncle, auntie listening to this and seeing you and being very impressed by your accomplishment and sharing, this podcast when we publish it with their family member who they feel can benefit from it. So I think there's a lot to be said about that.
Thank you so much, Idongesit. Your kind words, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your kind words.
You've done well, young man. You have done well. So I'm sure your parents are very, very proud of you. So it was a pleasure being here talking to you. So
It
as
was pleasure for me too to have such kind of conversation, because this isn't something which you would talk about it with your friends, So I generally seek for these kind of conversation. I'm so happy that we had, and I'm pretty sure that these conversation will be impacting so many lives, and some people get some value out of it. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming, Prerak. I want to follow your journey. I want you to come on this journey with me as well. So whatever you're learning out there, whatever it is that you're accomplishing out there, please reach out to me. Let's reconnect.
I will.
And please, everybody who's listening to us, who have enjoyed this conversation, please get involved. We want to hear from you. Comment, like. Let us know what you absolutely enjoyed about this conversation, and if you want us to have more of this kind of conversations. So again, Prerak Mehta, welcome, and thank you for being here, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
It
you.
was a joy talking to you and having such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye, Prerak.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Abeg Vex podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. It really helps us out. We'd love to hear your thoughts and continue the discussion. So join us on social media or drop us a message. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and keep pushing the boundaries of your world.